have to pick one place to go to, I'm going to go somewhere that might actually surprise some of our viewers. I want to be talking about Penguin. He's on this Lee Sin, and characteristically, over the course of this split, we've seen him playing these aggressive junglers, the likes of the Volibear, the Xin Zhao, and now he's got the Lee. He's playing against what I would usually call a slightly more defensive jungler in the early stages of the game of this Nocturne.
It's a setup that allows for Penguin to try to aggress early. Here, it seems like Cerberus have some kind of defense for Fook 1, where the rookie is being able to be on a champion that, like, in a one-on-one, in an interaction against Penguin, you're going to feel fine. That's kind of what the Nocturne is for into some of these AD, bruisery, fightery type junglers, and that's why it's popped up into the meta so much as of late. The problem is, like you said, it allows for Penguin to be this early game facilitator, which has really been kind of the entire identity of Team Secret in the early stage of the game, is allowing for Penguin to kind of run things. And this is exactly an example of what you should be expecting to see from Team Secret, is to allow him to go affect the lanes as quickly as possible. And I don't think the Nocturne pick really prevents that from happening. So I know our analysts were a little bit split about the decision-making from Cerberus inside of the draft. I have a lot of differing opinions on things to see inside of the draft, but one of the first ones that I witnessed, and I'm glad that we were able to bring it up, is this narrative of just how much Penguin has had influence over the early game, and that Cerberus has kind of played right into it this time.
Penguin has really stepped up from win to split, and I think now, quite interestingly as well, we're going to be seeing this vertical jungling coming through to some extent, which means that Fook 1 on this Nocturne, maybe he can play more towards what has been, over the course of this split, the stronger side, the more consistent side for Cerberus of Pos in the pun lane, in the top lane.
Mm-hmm. It's a situation where, like, I feel as though Pos has been consistent because they haven't had to play to him all that much, especially with a champion like Graves. It fits into the wheelhouse of what Pos has done, because you leave him alone in a side lane, and usually he comes out in a pretty spotless situation once you hit the 15-20 minute mark, which is why it is a little bit curious that we're seeing the split come to top side, where all of a sudden, Cerberus is going to have to find a play into Pos, into the Graves against Hero. Shutting down Hero is a great idea, but doing this with a Graves and a Nocturne combination in the early stage of the game feels like it's almost an exercise in futility, and it allows for Team Secret to have a split towards bottom side, where you get to drive down Artemis, you get to drive down his combination with Huber, which is one we haven't seen for like 3 splits now, ever since him and Ron OP were splitting time, I think back in 2020. And Team Secret gets to play into some of their win conditions, like Eddie being able to play around one of the best Zayas, as I believe Yulwei put it, inside of the entirety of the VCS.
Well, Eddie has been playing magnificently so far this split, and I know coming into this series we were wondering, okay, who is actually going to be playing for Cerberus? Because we actually saw Pudding playing a few games in the bottom lane in replace of Artemis, and when you consider how good Cerberus were in the winter split, they dominated. They won the regular season, they won playoffs as well, and it was a team of 5 players that had been playing together for a fair bit of time as well. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, coming into spring, they started to change things up. Fook 1 in the jungle role, Pos playing instead of Pun in the top lane, and now we're even seeing Huber over Ron OP being arguably the best support in the league last split.
And that was a worrying trend that I think really struck us about Cerberus inside of the split, is that last split, you had Pun kind of take over, you had Yato kind of take over in a lot of circumstances, and then you had like Ron OP step up into the best support role, and this split, it just hasn't felt like they've been able to hit those marks nearly the same way, which is why, while perhaps a little bit jarring to see Huber in, especially with Artemis, given that we've seen Puddin in Huber over the last couple of weeks when Cerberus actually needed to kind of clutch up the last few weeks of play, it is a little bit, it's not surprising really, because Ron OP's performances, I don't think they've been at the level that we expect of Ron OP, and clearly Cerberus sees something about his combination with Huber and their ability to play around a single carry. We saw this kind of in display with Puddin in the lineup, where they were able to play around the very young ADC and let him kind of take over games of his own volition. Everybody was playing well around it. That's how they were able to qualify against Luxury. And if that's the case with a player like Puddin, you know that they're able to do the same thing around one of the more gifted players in the VCS in Artemis. So it's not shocking that they keep together basically the same fundamental core, a lot of the same tools to be able to play around the T-fight to allow Artemis to step forward inside of fights, which is where we start getting into compositional breakdown here between the two teams, Milky, that I know our desk really was kind of back and forth about.
Well, Team Secret have a little bit of tempo. Now they're looking towards the bottom side. There is a Realm Warp for Artifact. He's looking for Artemis, but Fook 1 shows up. Zhu Hao Penguin showing up into the bottom lane as well. but Fuquan will be able to survive. Huber under his tower. He's a Tom Kent. That makes him rather tanky. The opening game might be getting off to a bang. Penguin forced to flash out of the event horizon. Fuquan flashes away as well. The Rune Prison locks down Huber. And it is first blood going the way of Team Secret, but they want more. They're looking for Fuquan. The daggers come out, and it's a double kill for Penguin.
Extremely good play. We started off the game by having the team split on both sides. We have a little more.
Hero will get the adaptive defenses. The Ignite takes down. And it's Hero who picks up the solo kill in the top lane.
I'm so tilted for Boss right now off the back of that play. Let's focus elsewhere because things kind of broke down across the map. First off, the early vertical jungle pathing kind of set up this display where control of bottom side was going to be in favor of Team Secret for the entirety of the early game. We've seen them posture around the area. This was the first major play they had looked to make. End up capitalizing on it, end up finding aggression, because it is a slower team composition, right? The Nocturne doesn't have the same impact that the Lee Sin does. Yato isn't stacked up on AP, and so can't really do the same kind of damage, even though he shows up. And Artemis isn't kind of in position to be able to do damage. He had to back off really early in that one. So that's all of your range that's kind of been taken off the board. And the other side of the map, the fact that, again, Pos, that shield, one auto attack, Milky, one auto attack, and that adaptive shield completely ruined the play from Pos. Feels so awful after this bottom side play went so awry because they're pushing off Artemis. Artemis is already down pretty significantly bad in CS in this laning phase and getting shoved off completely. There's just no counterplay here. I know they bring in Yato, they see this instance and they go, wow, the event horizon is going to go completely ridiculous, but there's so much control from mid-range that they can't punish because Artemis isn't here. If Artemis is around, the Rockets get reined into that situation. All of a sudden, you're dropping 300, 400 health that isn't there, and Team Secret have to full retreat. But because no one is there to put that damage out consistently, it's the problem. And then we get to see the actual ramifications of the topside play. Oh, goodness. Oh, come on! It feels so bad!
This is the advantage of taking Ignite in the top lane. You get to do what a Hero did right there.
Mm-hmm. It's the advantage to the shield, man. Like, literally, he had to be on single-digit health right there. Pos, literally one extra rune choice in another direction instead of going for, like, attack speed, you go to adaptive AD, and that's a kill right there coming out from Pos instead of something else. Which is tough, because, again, this is supposed to be your kind of stagnant lane, the lane that's going to go even no matter what. Pos is going to be a carry for the later stages of the game. That's kind of what he's done on Graves the majority of the split. So Hero, who has been an absolute performer, who's stepped up big for Team Secret over the course of this split as a solo laner, does get the solo kill to be able to generate that into Pos and kind of creates a state where maybe the Camille can start to find actual aggression into the Graves.
30 seconds of, you could almost say, misplay from Cerberus has resulted in Team Secret having a 3-0 kill lead, being 2k gold up, having a Rift Herald in the pockets of Penguin. That can get dropped pretty much anywhere, presumably maybe towards his bottom lane is where we've seen the focus from Team Secret so far.
And I know you love your stats, Milky. I'm not going to make you guess something like this, but one of my favorite stats from the split is that Team Secret has a win rate of 100% when they're up gold at 15 minutes. Their average gold lead is somewhere in the realm of 300 or something like that. That's not an easy feat to make, right? Like, even in every major region, usually if you have gold advantages, there's always going to be teams that throw it. Team Secret doesn't do that. We talk about them as the bastion of kind of consistency in the VCS for very good reason.
Well, Fuquan has the paranoia available, and that means he can straight away look towards the bottom lane, and Zhu Hao will get blown up as Cerberus tried to pull themselves back into this game.
This was really weird because Eddie has Heal, Flash, and Featherstorm. Oh, my bad. That was Zhu Hao. Okay. Never mind. The tools are there for Zhu Hao. I swear I thought that was Zhu Hao on my screen. Or,
I mean, he could have flash healed the Karma, to be honest.
That is true, but I think that's a waste of resources in a number of situations, because if the Nocturne goes on to the Zyad, then things are problematic. That's entirely my bad. I swear I thought that was Eddie in the river. I was like, what are you doing in the river? That makes a lot more sense. He's trying to ward, gets caught out in a situation. Fuquan able to use the first ultimate to find a kill and get the first dragon for Cerberus, so they find a little bit of a strike back on the map.
And you talk about how Team Secret are this really consistent team, and I have to completely agree because they have been so consistent over this split as Huber is on the run. But there's a reason why I bring up this consistency, and that's because the Nocturne is really good at punishing any forms of missteps, as we just saw from Zuhao. And maybe this is the right kind of champion, maybe this is the right kind of team identity to take against a team that is as consistent as Team Secret, to punish those minor mistakes that they may sometimes make.
Oh, that was weird. Okay, a little bit of shenaniganery right there with the blast cone being able to save Fook1 and Penguin not being able to follow through with a Q. You're right. You see a very massive play on a boss in the top lane.
Well, Boss is just locked down in the Hextech ultimatum. Yado teleporting in a little bit too late, but the fear will come through onto Penguin. Will he get locked into the event horizon? No, he flashes over the wall and out to safety, and overall it's just the one kill for Team Secret.
That is now the second time that flash has saved him from an event horizon potential from damage coming out to Penguin, thanking his lucky stars for that summoner spell coming through. I thought this would amount to more. I really thought that Yado and Fook1 would take a little bit more of a testament here, because they've got powerful enough champions to work with. And once again, we see the bottom side continue to get just barraged. Artemis has been down so much health during this laning phase. Eddie and Zuhao doing their best to take advantage of a little the poke that they've got to make sure that the Jinx is just never comfortable inside the laning phase. For very good reason. Is Team Secret, once again, they make the play happen topside around Hero, which is, again, this standout player that hadn't had a bunch of starting time previously, while the opposite side of the map is performing to the best level, where we're seeing, like, Eddie and Zuhao are kind of handling Artemis and Huber in the bottom side right now without much need of assistance after that first play coming through. Seems like everywhere Team Secret is finding wins in individual matchups, and it's causing Cerberus quite a bit of strife. I know that they're looking to try to teamfight, I think, around Artemis as the game progresses. They're waiting for some more gold to come into their pocket before they really take that test. But again, Team Secret is not a team that's going to be able to take that lying down. They're going to jump at you just as quick as possible, set themselves up for success.
You've already highlighted how good Team Secret are when they have a lead. They win every single time they are up in gold at 15 minutes. And I want to follow that up with something that the analyst desk mentioned earlier on the show, which is the fact that, I think it was Yulwei who brought this up, the fact that Cerberus have been looking a little bit shaky when it comes to team fights, but they have a bit of a team fight comp with that Nocturne, and now they have this Tahm Kench to be able to provide some extra assistance for Artemis. Is it going to be enough to kind of right the wrongs of their team fights as of late?
This is where we start to talk about teamfight dynamics between these two teams, which is where, like, there's a bit of a chess match going on between these two. On one side, you're looking at, like, Team Secret, which has, I think it was Carix who talked about the range kind of disparity between these two teams, which is that Xayah can contest the positioning of Artemis, but outside of that, you basically have to get within, like, very, very quick striking distance of the rest of Cerberus to put attention. Actually, we get a bit of a play right now.
Paranoia drop down, but this will be a 4v4. Artemis can't get over the wall. The damage coming through, but Penguin is able to survive. Huber forced to flash away. Can Artifact get within range? It's going to flash forward, but the overload does not land. Huber still on the run. Artifact closing down in the rune prison will pick up the kill.
Somehow and in some way, Team Secret sneak out of more and more situations with just fractions of health bar. Fook1 right there trying to make a play happen with the Nocturne ultimate. They're trying to be able to jump onto members of Team Secret, but they're able to keep themselves together around some of these neutral objectives. Cerberus, if they wrestle away that kill onto Penguin, at minimum, they've got their jungler available. Instead, because of that kill and all of the damage that was dealt, they have to back out of the top side or the bottom side. They have to lose their bottom tower first to Eddie. And that means, again, any pressure that they would have had around the dragon now, it basically has to come as a cost to the redeploy coming out onto the map right now. You see Fook1's not even pathing towards it. They might just have to abandon the idea of the dragon altogether, which is such a shame, because that was the one win condition that maybe would have been set up for themselves. Using this Nocturne for pick tools and then just going into a neutral objective is one of the easiest ways to try to set up for late game team fighting, which we expect from Cerberus. But here they are, not able to actually kind of find themselves in a position to make that work.
Well, we've just hit 15 minutes in the game, and I am checking the gold. It is Team Secret who have a lead, but let's take a quick look at this replay.
It was, again, Fook1 finding a really solid pick. Artemis being able to put out damage. This is the crux of what a teamfight's supposed to look like, because look how much area control that Vigar was able to put out. Look how much that Yado was able to do to buy Artemis space. Problem is Artemis has no damage, and the rest of Team Secret's able to swap out frontliners. It's no longer Lee Sin, it becomes Artifact. You have Zuhao behind with the Karma to throw additional kind of health tanking in for anybody that wants to come, and they're out of cooldowns to work with. So later in the game, again, if Artemis is able to throw in 2-3 more rockets, things go crazy. Here's the fight afterwards.
Oh, the Paranoia cancelled by the Camille ultimate. Sure, Cerberus are able to get the Drake, but it is Team Secret who get the kill, and Team Secret will be dropping down the Rift Herald in the bottom lane. No plates still available, so it will just be damage onto the tower.
Ooh.
Artifact
really solid play. Heroes around the back.
Hero coming from the side, but Hubo will just gobble up Artemis to keep him alive. Now the Zapback comes through, the Flame Chompers will lock him down momentarily, so much damage, but Hero stays alive! The same cannot be said for Hubo. The Featherstorm drop down, Artemis will fall, and Team Secret are wiping Cerberus off the map!
There's so many ways to put out damage from Team Secret from a low range. It's supposed to be control space and then use Artemis to put out your damage if you're on the side of Team Cerberus. But they're just not able to make that happen, and they're overplaying their hand in a number of circumstances. They lose their mid tower off the back of Rise being able to do a lot, Artifact being this hero for the side of Team Secret. But the thing is, the play extends further because of the player that Hero wraps around the tower. They go to punish Hero, and look at the overextension that ends up coming through. This is, of course, the play on the Dragon where they turn off of it, and this was Hero in just gorgeous fashion, be able to shut out Fook1 from being able to do anything else. And this is the outnumber that really puts them into a phenomenal position to push for this mid tower in general, because the trade-off was made Dragon for Rift Herald here, which makes a fair amount of sense. The defense is here from Cerberus, but you can look a lit for a team fight, or at least a little bit of a charge. Hero's wraparound is, I think, what they really wanted to play onto. And look at Artemis's positioning. There's no one here to defend him. He wanted to go forward for damage, ends up having to back off, finds half of his health bar missing before the fight even starts. And then look at this. Cerberus pull off the defensive mid tower to punish Hero. The W forward from Huber costs Artemis one of the tools that can be used to peel him out of a fight, and everything goes awry from that point, which is crazy. Last week, it feels like they weren't making that same kind of mistake. I think it was this week that they didn't make that same kind of mistake with putting in the lineup, and yet here is Artemis, who's not even positioning particularly, not aggressively. He's not going way too far forward. It is the rest of his team that are finding themselves out of position.
We just saw Team Secret able to get another kill. Fook1 using the paranoia defensively, but not enough to be able to keep him alive. And you bring up Hero. Hero has been playing so well this split. Outside of Kiai, arguably the best top laner in the league. And you brought up the stat about Team Secret winning every single game at 15 minutes. I've got another one for you, Rebel. Hero hasn't lost a single game this split on Camille, and he's got 6 games on the champion as well.
He's also got the highest damage share of any player on this team. I don't know if you knew that either, but he's sitting at 26.2 or something like that. And I think it's 25, 25, 26. So it's right in the same percentage with Artifact and Eddie. But it's incredible when you have a top laner that's powerful on these carry type champions. And it's nice to see because we have a couple of top laners that have stepped into this split with the capability of doing these kinds of things, right? We're in a position where we get to be a little bit greedy. We don't have the puns of the world that are sitting here with Tom Kench and Moon in the top lane. We're getting Jace players to pop up. We're getting Camille players, Akali players to kind of show their faces, and it's making for a lot more exciting. You talk about not only this Hero, but also Enper as the two members that really stepped up in the top lane as sophomores or second, third split type top laners that really hadn't shown all that much. And this is one of the players for a very good reason that has really kind of popped off. I remember talking about how Team Secret, if you wanted an X factor at the beginning of the split, Hero was going to be the X factor because of his ability to carry on some of these bigger name damage champions in the top lane, and that's come absolutely to fruition for them over the course of the split.
And we talked earlier about how Cerberus were a team. I'd say are a team, but I'm going to use were because it feels like that's changing now. But Cerberus were a team that had, one lineup, and they played with that lineup time and time again over multiple splits to grow into the winter split champions. Team Secret, though, they had Eddie and Zhu Hao last split, and Eddie and Zhu Hao weren't the issue. They had, Nagia Simon in the top lane, D and K. It was iffy for them. Then they brought in all of the SPTs top side of 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 top. Welcome back, guys. I believe we have fixed our internet issue, so we're back.
Yeah, keeping track of things that are happening in the game. Nothing has really actually accomplished all that much over the side. Nothing has gone crazy here for the side of Cerberus to be able to break this game loose from the hold of Team Secret. They're currently holding a bit of a gold advantage as we wait for the stream to come back up. Yeah,
and Team Secret have just been looking really good so far today. I mean, you could look at it in the converse and say Cerberus just have not looked good.
I suppose. It actually looks like there was a bit of a strike back from Cerberus. They found a couple of kills onto Hero, Penguin, and Zuhao in just the last couple of minutes of play, which is good because, again, Cerberus is kind of playing around Artemis. We'll see what exactly transpired and actually to cause this, I'm assuming, in a replay because this was very quick. Keeping track of things that were happening, but they're striking back a little bit. They're still down 7,000 gold, something like that, as we prepare for later. But again, Team Secret has done a couple of things to crack at the foundation of Cerberus in this composition, including taking a dragon. This was the play just seconds ago. I'm assuming that yielded the big play.
So it was the Lee Sin that dies right at the start of the fight, and it just feels like Cerberus just get multiple 4v1s.
Not to mention that's kind of the identity of the composition is to set up for Artemis to be able to work forward, set up for Pos to be able to work through a fight in this particular case. And there's no one to challenge into the backline because Hero went down quickly, Penguin went down quickly, and the positioning over the pit as well meant that like the event horizon from Yato yielded Artemis being able to just drop rockets into the opposing team, which is what we want from this Cerberus squad, right? Problem is they're down a good amount of gold right now. Artemis is down 50 CS. He currently has 2 items, almost a third completed, but isn't in a position to full carry a game. The more space that is held also from Team Secret, like in the river or in a lane, something along those lines, helps them out for not having to get pinched in. When you're caught in a jungle position where the choke is it's a little easier to control from Cerberus, things get a lot easier to fight out, especially with no vision or contest onto Artemis's background. So what we're looking for here is, again, making sure to be in mid lane, making sure to be in big lanes, because Fook 1's dive just doesn't mean the exact same thing. Yato's event horizon doesn't cover the same kind of area when it's not in confined space.
Team Secret, 27.5 minutes into the game, and now looking towards the Baron. Nice. Zuhao forced to flash out of the event horizon. No flash on the Karma. Nope. Paranoia dropped down. When does Fook 1 go in? He steals away the Baron. He'll die for it, but it is Cerberus who have the Baron Asher. Can Team Secret aggress any further? They're going to drop a Realm Orb, and it's going to be right on top of Huber and Artemis. Artemis flashing away, but the Sonic Wave lands. Resonating strike. Artemis has fallen. Cerberus getting wiped. Boss will fall. Huber with nowhere to go. It doesn't matter if you steal the Baron if every single member on your team is dead.
The expectation right there from Cerberus is that they were going to get out like thieves, having stolen the Baron away with Fook 1, and instead it is Team Secret punishing with the Realm Warp from their god artifact, who is able to make the Realm Warp happen, deliver their damage to the backline, and ensure that Cerberus lose this game. You thought it was a ray of hope, but in fact, it was the end of the line in game number 1.
Just like that, Team Secret take the game. Game 1 over Cerberus, and what a display it was as well, Rebel.